When I tell you that this is life-changing tofu, you just gotta believe me. Do you hear that crunch? I have been making tofu for like 8-ish years as a plant-based person, and I gotta say, I've learned a thing or two about how to make it taste amazing. So I'm gonna show you my absolute favorite 3 ways that I've been making tofu lately that you're gonna love. I've also got 5 tofu tips on how to make the perfect tofu every time, so make sure you stick around throughout the whole video so you don't miss one of those tips. Alrighty, first recipe of the day is a Hawaiian barbecue shredded tofu, and it is mwah, so good it'll make you want to say aloha. Yes, that was very corny. I can't believe I just said that. That is me, deal with it. This recipe only needs 6 ingredients plus spices, and it comes together in like 20-ish minutes. So good. Eat it in a sandwich, eat it on its own, eat it as a delicious high protein side dish. Oh my gosh, you're gonna love it. What is very unique about this recipe is that we're gonna be completely transforming the shape of this block of tofu here. And this actually brings me to hack attack number 1, and that is to try shredding your tofu for a completely different tofu eating experience. If you have a block of extra firm tofu, which is what we're gonna be using in this recipe, it is nice and firm enough that it holds its shape when you grate it so that it kind of resembles the texture of like shredded meat, which is kind of what we're going for here. Think pulled pork or barbecue shredded meat, very similar vibes, and it is delicious. So the first step of this recipe is to shred up 1 block of extra firm tofu just using the large whole side on a box grater. There you go, tofu shredding done, out of the way. That's like 30 seconds of your life. That's all you need to commit to this. And then what I like to do next is put it into a little bowl, and I like to give it a little toss in some oil and salt. Just about half a tablespoon to 1 tablespoon of oil is all you need. A little pinch of salt. Toss it until they're well coated, and then I like to air fry the tofu shreds. And why I like to do this is, 1, it helps to dry them out so that they actually are able to absorb more flavor from the barbecue sauce in the next step, but also helps them to retain their shape, their kind of shredded shape, instead of just dissolving into a mush. So we're just gonna transfer the shredded tofu onto an air fryer basket, air fry for about 20 minutes at 400, or just until they become a little bit golden brown and slightly crisped at the edges. Give them a little toss halfway through as well. Moving on to the Hawaiian barbecue sauce while the tofu gets freaky in the air fryer. Let's head over to the stove and throw some ingredients in a saucepan and make a mess. Don't mind the background noise of my air fryer just doing its thing. Okay, so grab yourself a saucepan, and we're going to get that heating up over medium heat. We're gonna add 3/4 of a cup of pineapple juice. This could be from a can, or like a can of pineapple, or just a jug of pineapple juice. This is gonna give the tropical vibes. About 2 tablespoons of freshly squeezed lemon juice, just for a little hint of acidity and a little bit of tartness. 1/4 cup of tomato paste. This is kind of gonna act as the main base of our barbecue sauce. We've got both coconut sugar and some molasses. These are gonna both kind of add a little bit of that caramely, malty flavor that is in barbecue sauce. And then for a little bit of smoky goodness, we've got some smoked paprika, salt and pepper. Now just give that all a little whiskey to combine. Oh, and don't forget a generous pinch of salt and a little bit of freshly cracked black pepper. Keep stirring until the coconut sugar is dissolved and you've let the sauce simmer on the stove over like medium-low heat for about 10 minutes. It's gonna look something like this. It's a little bit thicker, as you can see. It's darker in color, and it shouldn't be quite bubbling, but it's gonna be very, very hot and steamy, as you see here. What you're going to do next is grab yourself about 3 tablespoons of cold water. We're gonna add about half a tablespoon of cornstarch. Give it all a good mixy to make a little cornstarch slurry. And then we're just gonna pour that right into the sauce. Let it thicken up for about a minute. And then we're going to take this here beautifully crisped up tofu. Carefully, we're not gonna burn our fingers. Woo! And we're just going to dump it directly in the tofu. Yoink! And then we're just going to simply fold in the shredded tofu. Easy peasy. That sauce thickened up so nicely. And oh my gosh, does that not look like kind of shredded meat, pulled pork, barbecue? Now we're just gonna let this thicken up for another couple minutes, let the tofu sort of absorb a little bit of that flavor, get a little bit chewy again, and then we're done. Y'all, you can put this stuff in a sandwich, in a bun, eat it like you would a sloppy joe or a pulled pork sandwich, eat it as a side dish. Heck, just eat it by the bowl full. This is so epic. Do I have something on my face? No? Thank you. You're a real friend. Can somebody get me a napkin? Oh wait, I'm alone. Cheek smearing, mouth wiping, finger licking, messy, delicious. This is so good. I did not say that you would stay clean eating this. As you can see, well actually you can't see, I've made a big mess, but oh my God, it's so good, you guys. Definitely one of my favorite ways to eat shredded tofu is this, so make it. Moving on to recipe number 2. We're making a Chipotle cilantro lime tofu, and I gotta say, I am a little bit obsessed. I ain't lying. You just need 7 ingredients plus a block of extra firm tofu to make this recipe. It is by far one of my favorites. I just love it because it's this really good combination of tanginess from the lime juice, smokiness from the chipotle pepper, and saltiness from soy sauce. It's a little bit garlicky, a little bit spicy, a lot of bit delicious. So let's get into it first by making our marinade, which is pretty much where all the magic happens. Speaking of marinades, that actually leads me into my next tofu tip, which is to marinate your tofu. I know that sounds kind of simple and maybe a little bit obvious, but truly, if you marinate your tofu overnight, or even for a minimum of an hour or 2 before you cook it, it really helps to just seep in all the delicious flavors that you're cooking with into the tofu so that you have more flavor locked into the whole piece of tofu instead of just along the edges. It just makes for a more flavorful, tasty experience. And my next tip is to actually freeze your block of tofu if you can remember to the night before you want to cook with it, because by freezing your tofu, it actually expands all the liquid that's inside of the block of tofu and kind of forms these little ice crystals within the tofu, creating little pockets, almost like air pockets once it thaws out. Once it thaws out and you press the remaining liquid out of your tofu, you're left with these little holes that will soak up all the delicious flavors of your tofu and makes the texture a little bit chewier, and it's so good. So 2 tips that go hand in hand, freezing and marinating your tofu. I did happen to freeze my tofu ahead of time. It's a little bit more spongy, which is actually so perfect for this recipe. So let's make the marinade. First up, you're gonna grab yourself a little mixing bowl or a measuring cup to put all the marinade ingredients in. Secondly, grab yourself a lime. Make sure it's a nice kind of medium large-ish lime. And we're going to first zest off all of the skin, all of the green flesh into your measuring cup. Make sure you don't get any of the white pith underneath the skin. We just want the nice fragrant aromatic zest of the lime. Once you're done with that, slice the lime in half, and we're just going to squeeze all the juice from the lime into the cup. While you've got your microplane out, we're just going to finely mince up 1 clove of garlic, add it to the bowl, and then we're just gonna move on to our next 2 ingredients that we need to chop up a little bit. We've got 1 chipotle pepper in adobo. Now, if you are a little bit sensitive to heat, you can always skip this step and just use smoked paprika instead, which is quite a lot less spicy than a chipotle pepper, but I personally love the smoky heat of a chipotle, and I'm just using 1 small one. If you love spice, you can always add 2. Then we've got a little handful of cilantro. We're just going to chop this up nice and finely. We only want about 3 tablespoons of really finely minced cilantro. Add it all to the bowl. Then we're gonna add in 1 tablespoon of soy sauce, half a teaspoon of ground cumin for a little extra smokiness. And this is optional, but I'm just gonna add a tiny pinch of red chili flakes. Add a good pinch of salt and give everything a good whisk, and you're good to go. Whew, sweet summer, child. That smells amazing. I think it's a little bit too thick. As you can see, it's like just not you know, not thin enough in my opinion, so I'm just gonna water it down with about a tablespoon or 2 of water. You can do the same thing. Then we can just set this aside for a momento. We're going to chop up our tofu. I kind of like to do about 1 to 2 inch cubes. So this is honestly a little bit too big for my liking, so I'm probably gonna cut that in half. Next, we're just going to grab a little Pyrex dish or any kind of container that you have that will fit all of your tofu, and we're just going to arrange the tofu into the dish. Hopefully I picked one that is big enough. Sometimes it's a miss. Then we're just going to take our lovely, beautiful, super nice smelling marinade, and we're just going to pour it over everything and kind of spread out the mix. Yes, it is obviously a little bit chunky, but that is okay. Seal it with a lid and give it a nice little toss, kind of back and forth, a little shake, just to kind of get all that good stuff in between each piece of tofu. Do a little dance, make a little love, eat tofu tonight, eat tofu tonight. And now we're just going to let this marinate for about an hour. My recommendation is at least that, but if you want to let this sit in your fridge overnight, that's even better. Gives it longer to absorb all the delicious flavors. Hello from the next day. Yes, I decided to let our cilantro chipotle lime tofu marinate in the fridge overnight. Oh, God, that smells so good. The flavors are just totally absorbed into the tofu. There's no marinade left, which tells me that this tofu is gonna taste so good all the way through. Okay, let's go cook this up on the stove. I'll show you how to do it. All right, so we've got a large skillet heating up here, and I'm just going to throw a tablespoon or so of olive oil in. Let that heat up until it's nice and hot, H-A-U-T-E. And we are just going to, one by one, arrange each piece of tofu in the pan. Turn the heat down to about medium-high, and we're just going to let these cook on each side for about 4 minutes. Oh my gosh, so much lime, so much chipotle, so much cilantro. Oh, flip, flip, flip. Ooh, golden brown and gorgeous. And there she be. Roast. I just dropped my tofu. Take 2. Golden, roasty, toasty, limey, just diviny. Are you kidding me? There's not an ounce of that tofu that is bland. Like, that flavor seeps right through into the center. Like, that is why we marinate tofu. This is why. This is a tofu recipe that is so great for meal prep. Make a double batch of this, marinate it the night before your meal prep, and you've got yourself a winning recipe to enjoy all throughout the week. Oh my God. I now return you to yesterday's Janelle for the final recipe of this video. Just when I thought a chance had passed, you go and save the best tofu recipe for last. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Save the best tofu recipe for last because it is show-stopping. This is the tofu recipe you want to make for your friends, for your family, for the tofu skeptics in your life. Heck, if you're the tofu skeptic in your life, you need to make this because it is so good. It is my super savory and umami ginger sesame tofu. It is crispy, it is crunchy, it is umami, it is everything. It is everything you would expect from like a restaurant. It is that high quality. Grab yourself yet another block of extra firm tofu. This tofu is the kind of tofu you want to use for this recipe because extra firm has the best texture for ripping and tearing. It will keep its shape. And that leads me into tip number 5 of my tofu tips, my hack attack for you today. By tearing your tofu into little chunks like this, you get more surface area. And when you get more surface area, you get a crispier, crunchier piece of tofu once it goes in the air fryer, which is how we're going to be cooking our tofu today. So we're just gonna finish ripping our tofu into pieces, and then we're going to transfer it into a bowl, and we're going to drizzle about a tablespoon or so of olive oil, give it a little toss, and then we're going to add 2 tablespoons of cornstarch, give that another little toss. The oil and the cornstarch combo will help to make your tofu extra crispy in the air fryer before we toss it in our delicious sauce, which we're gonna make right now. Hello and welcome to Stove. So we're gonna make our sesame ginger sauce right in a frying pan. So here is 2.5 tablespoons of soy sauce. This is gonna give the salt factor that we so love in this sauce. We've got 1.5 tablespoons of toasted sesame oil. This is gonna give like serious toasty, roasty sesame vibes. This is like one of the main flavor components of the sauce. We've got some maple syrup. This is gonna add some sweetness to kind of balance out the saltiness from the soy sauce. We've got 1.5 tablespoons of rice vinegar. This is seasoned rice vinegar. This is gonna add some acidity, some tang, a little bit of bite. And we've got some tahini, which is sesame paste or sesame butter. We're gonna add that in as well. This is gonna sort of kind of emulsify the sauce a little bit. This is gonna add some creaminess and add another layer of sesame flavor to the sauce. I'm gonna add a little extra pinch of salt. And then for the ginger factor, we have, lo and behold, some ginger. This is frozen, and this is my favorite way to use it in a sauce because I like to microplane it. So I'm gonna add about 2 tablespoons worth of grated ginger. Lastly, I'm just gonna add a little teeny weeny pinch of red chili flakes. That's optional, but I like a little bit of heat. Now you can get your sauce warming up over medium, and we're just going to give everything a good whiskey until everything's all combined, a little bit emulsified, until it looks something like this. Ta-da! So we just want this to kind of steam away over a medium-low heat. Let it get nice and steamy. And over the course of about 5 minutes or so, it will start to thicken up a little bit. It's not quite thick enough. I just want to add a little teeny weeny cornstarch slurry with 1/2 tablespoon of cornstarch and about 1 tablespoon of water. Just give that a quick little whisk. Gonna add about 1/2 of that. Stir it in, see how it does. That is most excellent, my dudes. Now for the final ingredient for the sauce, we're gonna add in 1/4 cup of toasted sesame seeds. And then give that a quick little mix in. This will also kind of help to thicken up the sauce a bit. The smell of this is absolutely mind-blowing. It's so good. Lastly, we're gonna add in our really beautifully crisped up tofu. That tofu has seriously got the texture of like popcorn chicken, no joke. Give it all a real good mix to combine. Get the sauce over every nook and cranny of those pieces of tofu. Et voila! When I tell you that this is life-changing tofu, you just gotta believe me. Do you hear that crunch? Let me just do some ASMR action here for you. So much crunch. The ginger, the sesame, the sweet, the crunch, the savory, the everything. It is perfection. Let me know which tofu recipe you are most excited to try in a comment below. If you want to see more amazing tofu recipes, you can check out these 2 videos right here. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe below if you like high protein, plant-based, vegan, and gluten-free recipes. That's what I'm all about. I hope to see you in another video real soon. Have a good one. Bye-bye.